The Captain and the Crescent, Ibrahim Traoré, and the Battle for Islam in Burkina Faso. He is the world's youngest head of state, a soldier who seized power at 34. He is a practicing Muslim, leading a Muslim-majority nation, and yet his fiercest war is against men who kill in the name of his own faith. This is the story of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and where he stands on Islam, a stand more complex and more consequential than the viral videos suggest. Part 1. The Man and His Faith. Ibrahim Traoré was born in March 1988 in Bondoukoui, in western Burkina Faso, and raised in the Hauts-Bassins region, a predominantly Muslim part of the country. He is a practicing Sunni Muslim. When he took power in September 2022, he became Burkina Faso's first Muslim head of state since Sangoulé Lamizana in the 1960s. His country mirrors his heritage. Roughly 6 in 10 Burkinabés are Muslim, about a quarter Christian, and the rest follow traditional beliefs. Communities that have long lived side by side, mosque and church on the same street. Part 2. A Nation on Fire. To understand Traoré's stand on Islam, you must understand the war. For over a decade, jihadist groups, Al-Qaeda's affiliate, J-NIM, and the Islamic State in the Sahel have burned villages, massacred worshippers in mosques and churches alike, and displaced some 2 million people. Nearly half the country slipped beyond state control. Traoré's coup was justified by one promise: to win this war. And so, from the beginning, his relationship with Islam has been defined by a single distinction between the faith of his people and the ideology of the men with guns. Part 3. The Secular Line. In 2026, Traoré drew that line in public and in law. His words were unambiguous: "I am a Muslim, and I am free to practice my faith." Likewise, people of other religions have the full right to follow their own beliefs. And then the sentence that echoed across Africa: Sharia law will never be implemented in this country. Burkina Faso, he declared, will remain a secular state where all citizens are equal before the law, whatever their creed. The state's role, in his telling, is not to impose belief, but to protect the freedom of every believer. Part 4. The Religious Freedoms Law. Words became legislation. The government passed a Religious Freedoms Law, presented as a defense of the secular state. It brings sermons under oversight, punishes what authorities define as religious abuses, from the forced begging of children to opaque religious finances, and gives the state new powers over religious organizations. Traoré also moved against foreign religious training, announcing plans to recall Burkinabé students studying Islamic law in Arab countries, urging them to return with science and technology instead, and warning that refusal could cost them their citizenship. Part 5. The Rift. But the line he drew now cuts through his own base. Influential Sunni scholars, once among his strongest supporters, turned against the law. In May 2026, Imam Mohammed Ishaq Kindo, one of the country's most prominent scholars, was arrested after criticizing it. Protests followed. Traoré dismissed them as the work of a small minority of extremists and escalated. "If this is your Islam, we will fight it," he warned. Extremists must change. If they do not, the battle has begun. He pledged support for scholars preaching what he calls peaceful Islam and suspension for imams whose sermons, in the state's judgment, promote extremism. Part 6. 2 readings of one man. To his supporters, Traoré is the model of a modern African Muslim leader, devout in private, secular in office, a man protecting Muslims and Christians alike from fanatics who murder in God's name, and refusing to let foreign ideologies rewrite Burkinabé Islam. To his critics, the picture darkens: a military ruler extending state control into the mosque, jailing scholars, policing sermons, and deciding from the presidential palace which Islam is acceptable a path, they warn, that risks alienating the very community whose trust the war requires. Analysts note the danger. He is trading away a pillar of his own legitimacy, without yet ending the insurgency that justifies his rule. And a warning about the noise. Few leaders on earth attract more misinformation than Ibrahim Traoré. Viral videos put words in his mouth weekly, some casting him as an Islamic crusader, others as Islam's enemy. Both caricatures are false. The verifiable record shows a consistent position. Personal faith, embraced. Sharia, rejected. Secular law, supreme. Religious freedom for Muslims, Christians, and traditional believers proclaimed, and state power over religious life expanding. That last fact is where the real, unresolved controversy lies. The bottom line, Ibrahim Traoré stands on Islam where few expected a young soldier to stand, as a believer who insists the state must belong to no religion, and as a wartime ruler who claims the power to police the pulpit. Whether history records him as the man who saved Burkina Islam from extremism, or the man who put faith under the barracks' shadow, will depend on how the war ends and on whether the mosque and the state can trust each other again. In the Sahel, faith and power have always shared the same ground. Captain Traoré is only the latest to walk it, carrying a rifle in one hand and the Crescent in his heart.